Okay, so for question 24, we're given that if one of the stocks that increased in value in August is chosen at random, so that means we have to look at increased in August, and the total is 30, so 30 is our denominator. And then for a numerator is what is the probability that the stock also increased in value in July? So we go to the column increased in August because that's our given, and we look at increased in July, and the intersection is 21. So 21 over 30, which when simplified is equal to 0.7. So the correct answer is C. Okay, question 25. Okay, so for question 25. We're given that they drove a total of 390 miles, and part of the drive was local roads, which was 20 miles per hour. So we're going to say 20x, and x is the number of hours on local roads. And on the highway, his average speed was 60 miles an hour. So 20x plus 60y equals 390. And then for our other equation, it says the drive took a total of 8 hours. So x, the number of hours he drove on local roads, plus y, the number of hours he drove on a highway, equals 8. And so let's solve for x. So we can rearrange this to be y equals 8 minus x. plug it into the top equation, which would be 390 equals 20x plus 60 times 8 minus x. And then once you simplify, you get negative 90 equals negative 40x, and x is equal to 2.25 hours. And so the question asks, what distance in miles did he drive along local roads? So 2.25 hours times 20, because it says 20 miles per hour on the local roads. So 2.25 times 20 is equal to 45. So the correct answer is D. Okay, 26. Okay, so for question 26, it asks for what values of b does the equation have only one solution? Well, one way you could do this is if you graph it, but I'm going to do it the actual math way. And so for it to have one solution, it would have to be x plus or minus some value squared. That way there's only one solution. So to find what value would be squared, you just take the square root of 16 or um whatever the c value is, because ax squared plus bx plus c. So you just take the c value and find the square root of that, which is 4. So x plus or minus 4 squared. And it says what values of b does the equation have only one solution? Well, b would just be x plus 4 times x plus 4, which would be 4x plus 4x, which is 4x plus 4x is equal to 8x. So b of x could be 8x, and for our other solution, it could also be x minus 4, so x minus 4 times x minus 4 gets us x squared, negative 4x, and positive 16. So negative 4x plus negative 4x is negative 8x. So b of x could be positive 8 and negative 8, which is answer choice D. Obviously, you could also just graph this. That's probably easier, but whatever. Anyway, question 27. Okay, so for this question, we're told that there is a function f that is defined for all real numbers, and it has a negative slope. So we have a function, and it has a negative slope. So it could be like this, it could be like this, or it could be like this. It just has to be a function with a negative slope. And so it says which of the following must be true, not can be true, must be true. So if a is less than b, then f of a is less than f of b. Well, if a is less than b, that means that you have a lower x value and a higher x value, and f of a is greater than f of b. Well, when you move left, your y value is higher than if you move right. So 1 has to be true. And for 2, if a is less than 0, then f of a is greater than 0. that basically means when x is less than 0, y is greater than 0. That doesn't have to be true. You can still have a graph with a negative slope where x is less than 0, but the y value is also less than 0, like this. For example, you could have x equals -1, and your y value could also be -1. So 2 isn't always true. And then for number 3, if a is greater than 0, then y is less than 0. Well, you could also have a graph that's like this, where you could have x equals 1, but y is not less than 0. Y is still above 0. So 3 is also not always true. So the correct answer here would be A. Okay, question 28. Okay, so for this question, we're given that y is equal to bx times x minus a times x minus a times x plus b times x minus b. Okay, so the first thing we can do is we can simplify. So x minus a times x minus a is just x minus a squared. So that's the first simplification. And then you have b of x. And you have x plus b and x minus b. And it asks how many distinct x-intercepts does the graph have? The correct answer would be 4. And the way we can find this is that the x-intercepts are when y equals 0. So 0 equals this. And so the 4 intercepts would be when x is equal to 0, because 0 times v of x would be 0, and 0 times the rest would also be 0. X equals a, because a minus a is 0, and 0 times the rest is 0. So 0 comma a, negative b, and positive b. These are the 4 intercepts that you would have. So the correct answer is C. 4 intercepts. Okay, question 29. Okay, so for question 29, we have 1/3. I'm just going to multiply this out. So 1/3 x minus 1/3 k equals kx. Okay, and so we're asked if the equation has no solution, so that means this equation cannot be true. What is the value of k? And so, well, for this equation to have no solution, k would have to have the same value as the um, the front of this x. So k would also have to be 1/3. And how we can prove this is 1/3 x minus 1/3 times 1/3 equals 1/3 x. This basically means that no matter what x value you plug in, you'd have this equation can never be true. So the correct answer here is interest rate D. Because 1/3 times negative 1/3 times 1/3 is 1/9. So 1/3 x minus 1/9 is equal to 1/3 x. No matter what you plug in for x, that equation will never be true. So the correct answer is D. Okay, question 30. Okay, so for question 30, we have there's two expressions, x squared plus bx plus 10. And we have the expression x minus 3 squared plus c. And we have to find what is b plus c. Well, first, let's just make these equations in the same form. We can do this pretty easily by actually multiplying this out. So x minus 3 squared is just x squared minus 3x. Sorry, not minus 3x. X squared minus 6x plus 9, because negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, and negative 3 squared is positive 9, plus c. So we have x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus c, and our other equation is x squared plus bx plus 10. And so now, if we want to set these equal to each other, b has to equal negative 6x. So b equals negative 6. And for C, you have positive 9, and here you have positive 10. So to get 10, you'd have to do 9 plus 1 equals 10. So C is equal to 1. And so we're asked to find what is B plus C. So negative 6 plus 1 is equal to negative 5. So the correct answer is choice D. Okay, question 31. Okay, so someone asked, can you explain how you solve B and C? So back to question 30. So we're given x squared plus bx plus 10, right? And for the other equation, we're given x minus 3 squared. So if we just multiply that out, x minus 3 times x minus 3, we get x squared, negative 3x, and positive 9. So x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus c. And we're told that these two expressions are equivalent. So that means this expression, x squared plus bx plus 10, is equal to this expression, x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus c. And so let's just look at the coefficient of the terms. The x squared both have a coefficient of 1. For the b term, both of them have to have the same coefficients since they're equal to each other. So this b term here has to equal negative 6. So that's how I got b is equal to negative 6. And then for this final term, these two have to be equal to each other. So 9 plus c has to be equal to 10 because all the terms have to be the same. So for the x term, it's negative 6 and bx. So b is equal to negative 6. For the c term, 9 plus c equals 10. So that means c has to equal 10 minus 9, which is 1. So that's how I got b and c. Okay. Anyway, for question 31, it just says what value of x makes the equation above true. Well, for this one, if this equation is equal to 0, that means this part has to equal 0. So 3 minus 3 is 0. 0 to the 4th power is 0. So the correct answer for this one would be x equals 3. Because 3 minus 3 is 0, and 0 to the 4th power is still 0. Okay, question 32. Okay, so for question 32, we're told in the data set, R is an integer, so we have 4, 13, 5, 8, R, 5, and 11. And so we're told that the median of the data set is 8, so that means R has to be, that means there has to be 3 numbers less than 8 and 3 numbers greater than 8. So for 3 numbers less than 8, we have 5, 4, and 5. So that means that the rest of the numbers have to be greater than 8. So that means that R has to be greater than 8. And so we know that R has to be greater than 8. And we're told that the median, and we're told that R is less than 11. So R is greater than 8, but is less than 11. So that means what is the possible value of R? You could have answered with 9. You could have answered with 10. And you could have also technically answered with 8. Because it could also be equal to 8. Because if R was 8, the median would still be 8. So the correct answer is 8, 9, or 10. You could put any of these 3 answer choices and they were all accepted on the SAT. Personally, I would just go with 9 since it's in the middle of the 3. So it's just a bit safer in case you mess something up, but all 3 answers were accepted. Question 33. Okay, so for question 33, we were given 2 equations. We're given 8x plus y equals 5. And we're given 4x plus y equals 4. And we're asked to find the value of x. So for these system equations, if you remember, there's 2 ways to solve them. You can either just you can just do y equals 4 minus 4x and plug in, or you can do it the other way. There's a way I'm going to do, where you have to get one of these variables to cancel out when you subtract the equations. So 8x minus 4x is 4x. y minus y is 0. So 4x plus 0 equals 5 minus 4, which is 1. So 4x is equal to 1. So that means x is equal to 1/4. That is the correct answer. This is just a simpler way of doing it. Obviously, you could also try solving it the other way, but that way would be a lot more work. Okay, question 34. Okay, so for question 24, we're given for popcorn, it has 150 calories, 94 are for, or 90 are from fat, so 150 calories and 90 from fat. And we're told for pretzels, um, it has 120 calories and 12 are from fat. And we're told how many more calories are provided by a 100-calorie serving of both. So basically what is the difference if you have 100 calories of either one. And so 150 calories, to get that to 100, you'd basically do divide by 3 times 2. So times 2/3, so 150 times 2/3 is 100. So 90 times 2/3 is equal to 60. So if you have 100 calories of popcorn, you'd have 60 calories of fat. And then we do the same thing for this. So 120 times, I think it's 4/5. Wait, no, 120 times 5/6 is 100. And then you'd have 12 for the fat times the same ratio, 5/6, which is equal to 10. So if you have 100 calorie, or if you have 100 calories worth of pretzels, you'd have 10 calories worth of fat. So rest, how many more calories from fat are provided by the 100 calorie serving of microwave popcorn, then are provided by 100 calorie serving of the pretzels. So we have to find the difference. So the difference is 60, because that's the numbers from the popcorn, minus 10, because that's the number from the pretzels. So 60 minus 10 is equal to 50, which is the correct answer. 50. 50. Okay, question 35. Okay, so for question 35, we're asked to find the area of a parallelogram, which is very simple. The area of a parallelogram is equal to the base times the height. So they decided to give us both of those values for some reason. So it's just 10 times 5, which is 50. So the correct answer is 50. Okay, question 36. Okay, so for question 36, we're given f of x equals cx plus d, which is really similar to an equation we already know, which is mx plus b. So basically, c is just the slope. So c is equal to the slope, and we're given two different data points. We're given x 50 and y 2700. And for the other data point, we're given x equals 100 and y equals 38,000. And so since we're given the x and y values, we can just find the slope by doing change in y over change in x. So 38000 minus 27000 over 100 minus 50. That's just change in y over change in x, which would get us 220 as our slope. And it's asking us what is the value of c. C is just the slope, so the correct answer is 220. Okay, question 37. Okay, so for question 37, it says based on a line of best fit, estimated value of a 6-year-old computer is K $1,000, where K is an integer. What is the value of K? So 6 years old, go to the graph, 6 years old computer, go up to the line, and we can see the correct answer would be 15. Okay, this marker is dead. Okay, 15. And then for question 38, what is the number of computers for which the line of best fit predicts a value less than the actual value? Basically, it's asking how many of the dots are above the line. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the correct answer for that one would be 9. Okay, we're now on to the no calculator section. Question 1. As for question 1, we have 3k plus 2k equals 5. 3k plus 2k is 5k, so 5k equals 5. What is the solution? 5 divided by 5 is 1, so k is equal to 1. So answer choice B. Okay, question 2. Someone asked when k equals 1. Yes, k is equal to 1, which is answer choice B. B is 1. Okay, question 2. Okay, so for question number 2, we're asked, what is the graph of the equation y equals 3 to the power of x? Simplest way to do this is to just plug in values for x and see if they match with one of the graphs. So if we plug in x equals 0, we get any 3 to the 0th power, which is just 1. So at x equals 0, y is equal to 1. So for A, it works. For B, it doesn't work. For C, it doesn't work. And for D, it doesn't work. So the correct answer here would be A. For these type of questions, you can just plug in, or if you actually know what the graph is, then just choose that one. But if you don't, just plug in. So x equals 0, you get y equals 1. Okay, question 3. Okay, so for this question, it just says the table shows some value of x and the corresponding values of y, because f of x is just y, which the following could be the graph. So when x is -1, y is equal to 0. So C and D, that doesn't even work, so we can rule them out. So we look at A and B. For x equals 0, y is equal to -4. Well, for B, it's a positive value, so it can't be B, so the correct answer has to be A. At -1, it's 0. At 0, it's -4. And at 1, it's 0. Okay, question 4. Okay, so for question 4, we're given f of x is equal to 3x squared plus 4x minus c. And we're given f of 2 is 12, so 12 is equal to 3 times 2 squared, which is 4, plus 4 times 2 is 8 minus c. So 12 is equal to 12 plus 8 minus c. Well, c would have to be -8. So the correct answer is A. Okay, question 5. Okay, so for this one, we're given 11.5x plus 3.5y equals 265. And we're given that they ran for 20 minutes. So x is essentially 20. So 11.5 times 20 plus 3.5y equals 265. And we're asked to find y, essentially. So once we multiply this out, we would get 1.5 times 20 is 23 with the additional 0, so 230 plus 3.5y equals 265. Subtract 230 from both sides, and you get 3.5y equals 35. Divide by 3.5, and you get y is equal to 10. So the correct answer is answer choice D. Okay, question 6. Okay, so for question 6, we have 6 over x all over 18. We're find an equivalent expression. So 6 over x is essentially the same thing as 6 times x to the negative first over 18. These two are the same thing. So x to the negative first is the same thing as 6 over 18x. And then 6 over 18 can be simplified into 1 over 3x. So correct answer would be answer choice B. Okay, question 7. Okay, so for question 7, we're given that C is the center of the circle. Um, we're given AB is tangent to the circle at A. So tangent basically means perpendicular, basically the same thing, or I guess parallel in this case. I mean, it depends on how you see it. Like perpen it's perpendicular to line AC, but it's parallel to essentially the circle. Anyway, so which of the following is true about the measure of angle BAC? Well, if we know that these two lines, AC and AB, if we know that they're essentially parallel, or if they're essentially perpendicular, that means that the measure has to always equal 90 degrees. So the correct answer is choice C, since we know that they are perpendicular, essentially. Question 8. Okay, so for question 8, we're told the graph of the function f is shown. What is the value of x when f of x equals equal to 0? So f of x is essentially just y. So what is the value of x when y is equal to 0? When y is equal to 0, we have x equals 3. So the correct answer is answer choice D. Question 9. Okay, so for question 9, we have A equals P times RT plus 1. The rest would basically just find it in terms of T. So we can just divide by P. So A over P equals RT plus 1. Subtract 1 from both sides. A over P equals, or A over P minus 1 equals RT. Divide both sides by R. So A over PR minus 1 over R equals T. So that's the correct answer. So the correct answer is C. Answer choice C. Someone asked, are you able to distribute? I did distribute. Essentially, so let me just redo this last step. Essentially, it's just A over P minus 1 equals RT. And then you just divide both sides by R. So A over P minus 1. All of this divided by R equals T. And then I just distributed that. So when you divide A over P minus 1 over R, you just have A over P times R minus 1 over R equals T. So that's choice C. Okay. Question 10. Okay, so for question 10, we have a right triangular prism. So to find the area of that, you just find the area of the triangle, which would just be 6 times 6 divided by 2. So 36 divided by 2, which is just 18, times um, essentially the length, which is 10. So 18 times 10, which is 180. So the correct answer is answer choice C. Okay, question 11. Okay, so for this one, we're told that each housekeeper will clean the same number of rooms, R. So R is essentially the number of rooms that were cleaned. So R times the number of housekeepers, which is 9. So 9R. And we're told that half of the rooms were cleaned. So the total number of rooms is 180, and this is half of them, so 180 over 2. So essentially, so half of the rooms is 9R, and the total number of rooms is 180, so 180 over 2 is half of them. So if we want to get this in terms of just 180 on the right side, we just multiply both sides by 2, so we'd have 2 times 9R equals 180. So the correct answer would be answer choice A.
We'll end the session after this 12th one. Okay.
Okay, so for question 12, essentially, we're just told that the line represents a relationship between the area of the patio and the number of paving stones, X. So the area is Y, the number of paving stones is X. Which of the following? We're told that the top surface is a square, so the area would just be K squared for each tile. What is the value of K? Well, when there's 2 tiles, there's 8 square feet. So 2K squared equals 8. Let's divide by 2. You get K squared is equal 4. So square root of 4 is equal to 2. So K is equal to 2. So the correct answer is answer choice B.
Thank you everybody for joining us. This is the last session of this batch. If you want to check out the previous videos, you can go to India House website under the SAT. There'll be a link and you can see the previous videos as well. They're on YouTube. Thank you everybody. Bye-bye.